Men want what they used to get freely without doing anything for it. Men want what they believe they were owed because they knew they were bringing something to the table. And now women have their table with four legs and four.
What I'm trying to say is I don't understand when aesthetics became, frankly, so grandly important for our community.
You just said that we live in a sex-oriented society. You just said sex sells. You just said we talked about Caribana and the importance of looking good and showing off what you have, and you're asking the question.
And you also said that every person has to choose their own values.
And we back at it again, Far From Normal Podcast. And as you can see, we have 3 guests today. This is amazing, honestly. Thank you for coming out. I do appreciate it. The family's growing, man. The podcast is growing. Yeah. So one thing I did want to, first of all, I want everybody to introduce themselves.
Okay. Hi, my name's Cherie Mordecai. I don't know. What would you like to know about me? Just tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay. I am 45 years old.
Okay.
I am going through a separation. So I know this we talk about personal issues and also societal issues. I am a lover of all things cultural, learning about my history, I'm a nerd.
Okay.
I'm a nerd. Talk to me enough and you'll find that there are some things that I'll just pull out the air and you'll be like, where? I do deep dives and I'm a nerd.
Nice.
And I don't know, I just feel very optimistic about life. This is a new experience for me. I like new experiences. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you again.
Amazing. All right, Bradley. Okay. I thought we were going down the line, but okay.
No, yeah, we can do that.
Ladies first. Ladies first. Let's go.
It's a gentleman right here.
Yeah, he's a gentleman.
Yeah, this is my friend. My name is Annalicia Chemin. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited. I am also a podcaster. I've been out of the game for a while. I'm trying to pivot back in the right way.
What made you come out the game? Anything specific?
Life is gonna life. I have to prioritize things in my life, and a podcast and social media and all that was not a priority.
Okay.
Right now I have time to get to work, and so I'm going to do that.
Yeah, congrats to that. I mean, it's not easy to start a podcast and run a podcast and all that stuff when it comes to social media. So, congrats to getting back into
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
My name is Bradley Innes. I've known these guys for going back almost, 5-6 years now?
Yeah, a couple years now.
I currently am in finance. I work in investments in private equity and venture capital. So if you ever want to indulge in the world of trading, investing, I'm your guy.
That's it. Put the tag. Don't worry. Got your IC.
There you go.
No, but
we're going to plug it in. Yeah, don't worry.
Myself personally, I love adventure. I'm a wine nerd. So anything like wine, talk to me about that forever.
Okay.
Yeah, I've honestly just been in the space right now, like building myself, figuring out what I want, figuring out what happiness and clarity looks like, and feeling and leaning into that space and letting that drive where I'm at with my life, where I'm at with everything, and it's honestly been one of the most beautiful feelings in the last year for me. So that's where I'm setting my foundation, and let's dive into it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And yes.
Yeah. I know.
I
Seems
want
like
to
shared
clap too, but
journeys here.
it's going to be ruining the mics, audio, production and everything.
I'm new to this. I'd love to continue, but I'm new to this. Very sorry.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so I did want to talk about last weekend. Caribana had happened, and it happens every year in Toronto. We're in Toronto, just for the new viewers. The parade. I wanted to get your thoughts on the parade. Do you guys tend to go to Caribana, the parade, or do you guys tend to go to the surrounding events of Caribana, or do you partake in it at all? Because I know there's a couple of my friends that just don't partake, period, for whatever reason. So I do want to just kind of find out what's your take on just Caribana and the festivities that surrounds that long weekend.
Okay, well, maybe I'll go first. Yeah. As somebody who actually takes part in the parades for the past 4 years, for me, I generally do it alone.
Okay.
Couple of reasons. One is, I did disclose my age. For me, it's part of my identity. There are definitely women who around my age group will feel very self-conscious about their figure, their bodies. Me, I happen to not care one way or the other, but also happen to be fortunate, right? So
you're taking care of yourself.
Well,
so yeah.
Nothing fortunate about it.
Okay, no, but I would say it is. I really don't do a whole lot.
It's good genes,
right?
baby.
It is
That's
genes,
good
and also
genes.
I am a very active person. Like I am out there. I sometimes don't know how to rest, right? So and I have the luxury to be able to do that, right? Frankly, a lot of the women that I'm talking about, they don't have the same luxuries. So for me, and again, they don't also have the luxury of being able to go train into the gym and do all kinds of stuff. So understandably, we all look very good today, right?
Yeah.
We all want to look good. So understandably, if someone's going to be like, hey, I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars to go on the road and feel insecure about myself, why not, right?
Okay.
For me, however, my journey is, my background is Canadian. I'm born and raised here. And my parents, when they emigrated from Jamaica, for one reason or another, they didn't want me to know much about my culture. So for me, growing up, I had to kind of pick pieces of things that as I was older and allowed to do things that I would participate in. And for me, playing mass was something that I started, deciding that, okay, I'm just going to do it on my own, literally probably when I was 40. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and
That's
My friend and I didn't know.
Yeah, you'll see me on the road. I'm
Evidently.
in my, you see my heels today.
Evidently.
I'm in my heels. I'm enjoying. For me, and so I do Juve. Right,
Yeah.
I do as much as I can culturally. I mean, not just the parties, but learning a bit more about my, if you want to call it quote unquote my blackness, my heritage, my Jamaican heritage, right?
Oh, so you weren't concerned about that before?
I was,
much?
but then if you have, if you have, for example, a parent who's actively like, no, we immigrated and the Canadian society is.
So they try to
then,
that. Okay.
Yeah, not my, my dad,
They
want-
exactly,
Yeah.
right? My
Assimilation.
dad was
Assimilation,
different,
yeah,
but he didn't,
okay.
frankly, in our home, he didn't have much, my mom was my mom, right? And then he died. And then, so for me, it's once I left, right, to be able to explore different things. And then I was also in a marriage where, certain things weren't always, they were celebrated, but the idea of me playing mass all the time, it just
Didn't work.
it just didn't work. I think, so now that I have kids, I then started to think, okay, what is important for them? What is it that I'd like for myself, right? So I'm on the road, and for me, it's just the whole idea of freedom, right? And maybe that's even, kind of why I started after my separation, right? The idea of having, in the true spirit of one day of just getting out there and not thinking of anything. You just free up, you do your thing. My impressions of the road, it's very different from when I was growing up and watching the parade, literally from University Avenue to when it moved to Lakeshore. When I'm on the road, I'm in my own space. So I don't really notice a lot of what's going on until after, and then we talk about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did notice that.
So speaking on that, do you notice anything when it comes to the women that play mass in terms of, are they self-conscious about their body and fitness level when they go out there, or it's just...
The women that are out there are, and I do it alone.
Okay.
The women that are out there are some of the warmest, nicest, they don't care. And for me, again, that's liberation, right? I know, and again, from somebody who, yes, I would idealize a more fitter physique, right?
Okay,
For
yeah,
myself
yeah.
personally, absolutely, right? However, again, this is yet another aspect of class politics that gets imbued in this parade, right? And I mean, there's a history of class politics that gets imbued in the parade. This is another thing. Why should women, no matter if they can go out, if they're frankly overwhelmed at home, if for whatever reason fitness is not, the priority, or it's not even a possibility in the way that somebody who has the luxury of time and expenses can do, why shouldn't they have a day where they can just get on the road and if they feel comfortable enough, do what they want to do? Or if they don't, stay home, right? I I think that's the whole idea and spirit of why this whole thing was started. For me, what I noticed more on the road is just the change in, even this year, I'm like, they're going to have to think about the change in economics. But that has also been the history of Caribana, right?
Okay, so I wanted to just hear Bradley and
Sorry.
Sorry.
Annalicia,
I was going to say that. Annalicia's thoughts, just so we can get their perspective. We'll double back on the question just because we have a big panel here. So just what's your thoughts on Caribana, the festivities, like if you go there these days, if you don't, if you got, because a lot of what I'm hearing is that it's a lot more young people. So if you're a little bit older, I would say if you're pretty much mid-20s to past that age, a lot of what people are saying in the crowd and the environment is a lot of young people. Not to say who's playing mass, but just generally speaking, what's your thoughts in terms of like Caribana? Do you participate? I know you are Caribbean descent as well. So is this something that has importance to you?
Where are you from?
From Barbados, I'll say it, the best country in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
There you go.
You heard it first. You heard it first.
No, you heard it wrong.
There
It's
we go.
Trinidad, no offense.
You guys have the best carnival, but not the best country.
Oh, okay.
We have the
Okay.
gold and the high crime rate, okay?
They're notable.
Okay. No. Caribana for me has been a family thing since I was a kid. I've been going to Caribana since I was 13, 14 years old. From being taken there with my parents, my grandmother showing up, like doing a full picnic. How you see some families set up like the barbecues, the food stations. Like we did that as a family as a kid. And I saw that part of it. And that's what I grew up loving. And then as I got older, I was able to see what it was, what we look at it as now. Like we see the people playing mask, we see the people jumping up, we see the bigger part of the festival. For me, at the beginning of it, it was more so a family dynamic, and I was learning just more of my culture, seeing different people that were from the Caribbean, Asians, Trinidadians, Jamaicans, everyone in between, and just learning more about it from that aspect, that point. And I love that for me because it gave me more of a foundation in my culture as a kid, which I really, really loved. And then looking at it now as an adult, like for example, this past Caribana, yes, I did go. I was just there with my friends. We walked around up and down. We appreciate the culture for what it is. We see everyone having fun. We see everyone jumping up. I love seeing that. And then, yes, there's the other side of it, how you look at it as like, it can be over-sexualized. It can be judged. It can be opinionated. Yes, I can see that aspect of it, and that's just on people's mindsets, but we can dive more into that. For me, it's always been a cultural thing, and I always love it for the cultural reasons because like I love to see people jumping up and having fun, expressing themselves. Doesn't matter what you look like, where you are, where you're from. As long as you represent the Caribbean in this moment, you can go and celebrate, and you're having fun, and I love to see that.
Okay, that's interesting.
Juan Bradley.
And how about yourself? What's your thoughts on Caribana as the years went on? I don't know if you've participated in it. Have you been ever a part of mass?
I have never participated in mass.
Okay.
But growing
Is
up,
that do you have a specific reason for that?
I'm indifferent. I feel like it's just too much work for me.
Okay.
It's hard. Like credit to the women the
for
women
sure.
and men that do it.
Yeah.
I've heard it's tough.
I love it.
It's a lot of
I
walking.
love
time,
It's a
it's
lot of
money,
walking.
Especially the big
resources in my
costumes.
boots.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
Yes.
Has to be heeled
Oh
boots
my
every year.
God.
Yeah,
And I
it's-
always make something. Like I actually try to personalize my costume. So you get
That's
your
awesome.
costume. Yeah. So
God
okay,
damn
sorry,
it.
go on. Sorry.
Sorry. So,
Yeah, so you're just saying that it's too much work for you?
oh no, in terms of playing mass,
Instead of
but
playing
growing
mass.
up every year like clockwork, my older sisters would bring me down. We would we would make laps, and I really liked it. I felt that it was a really good way to keep me culturally tethered to all things Trinidadian. I thought it was a really good way to see people coming out and being creative. Like part of what makes Caribana special is that you can be so creative and you can create outfits and Is it stages?
Yeah.
Or
the
floats.
stages.
Floats, yeah, that are
They
that
also
are
have a stage there.
They do.
yeah,
have
yeah,
videos,
and but you can create something that's distinct and something that represents whatever island you come from or you identify with. So that's what I think is the priority for people when they are playing mass or when they go to Caribana. It's just the reminder that this is part of my island. This is important to me. That's why the whole body conscious thing and putting emphasis on that, I don't think it's as important as just being present and appreciating the culture, the creativity, I think that's what people are showing up for. And just to be a part of something where there's a lot of, it's community oriented. You see a person, you don't know them, but you know them at Caribana, right? because they're Trini.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But I guess because I think on a wider scale, when people do come, because in Toronto, right, we're very multicultural. So I think from a wider scale and point of view, people may look at it in a different sense, right? Just culturally, because
when you say people, do you mean
people from all different ethnicities?
People outside of the Caribbean culture.
Outside of the Caribbean culture, they wouldn't understand, how
nuances,
much, the revealing costumes and stuff of that sort, right? Those things
it's provocative.
It's a bit provocative. So,
in comparison to Western culture, what they deem
not
as,
only Western culture, Eastern culture is the same.
Right.
A lot of different cultures don't have that much. I would say that their clothing is more conservative.
Conservative.
Yes.
Right,
so I think that's why their mind state and how they're looking at it would be a little confusing to them. Maybe they'll be interested in learning more about it, but they don't quite understand it.
I can understand and appreciate that, but then there are Eurocentric traditions and cultures that I don't understand.
No, 100%, 100%.
And so that's just a part of the human condition.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
I can believe that.
You're looking at something you don't understand. You might be repelled by it. You might be curious about it, but you can't really control that. I don't really care. I don't know anything about what goes on in Europe, and I'm pretty sure if I was a part of it or if I saw it, I might be like, yo, that's
kind of strange.
odd.
Yeah,
there's definitely going to be odd things every culture.
Yeah.
That
Isn't more of a moment like you're just in your moment and you're in your realm and you care about that and you're passionate about that.
That's
right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted to say?
Well, for me, I wanted to say, I mean, this is yet another thing, the history. It was, a play on the European, masquerades, right? So then you regain a sense of, hey, this can be an expression of actually our true African culture. And I mean, there are many African dances that are very sexualized, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and that was also part of instructing, right? In any case, so for me, yes, the costumes are getting smaller, but why? They weren't like that before. I remember going, again, the university, avenue. Who would always bring all the attention? The Brazil floats, where you had the girls that were topless and the girls that were in their thing. All the costumes before did not used to be as skimpy. But between the Jamaican float and the Brazil float. So, I mean, again, this is, as we've said, it's now commodified culture. You want to now attract more people to this parade. Well, what was the biggest attractor? It was sex, right? It was sex. So again, a lot of the costume designers, you kind of learn, right? And I think it's, again, one of those things where now you have as women, so, I can say as one going to select costumes, where, well, if that's all that's being made and you still want to be a part of it, what do? Right? I mean, they have different versions. Okay, well, you can get this, you can get the thong panty, you can get the cheeky butt, you can get whatever. But that's what it's come down to now, right? So, as far as how everybody else is seeing this, it's just part of everything else. Sex sells. Okay. They're going to put it out there. The industry is, going to then feed into it. I'm talking about in terms of the designers, right? They're going to want to make the most elaborate costumes with as little bit as possible and as showy as possible. But that wasn't the thing. It's, for me, being an observer all literally decades, it was the attraction of the Brazil floats.
Okay. And
right?
Cherie, it's also a business, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's a business.
So
at the end of the day,
if they want to keep it lucrative, they have to stay relevant to, you have to follow the market.
You have
to
follow the market,
so
right?
Speaking of the market, but this is where it gets kind of sticky, because even in the parade, right? People are out there, they're dancing, they're feeling liberated, they're enjoying themselves, but then also that comes with bumping and grinding, that comes with whining, that comes with, sexual dancing. But, where does a guy draw the line in terms of when he's out there and he wants to
enjoy? Because
enjoy himself.
This is important too, because I mean, in Caribbean culture, from what we've seen, at least at Caribana, a lot of people only have that dose, right? So with that small dosage, and maybe you watch some videos or whatever, you're under the impression that you pretty much just jump on any girl and ready to go.
That's
you get what I mean?
Process.
Right. And I heard that's not necessarily true for some women.
You're saying because of
So what
their
they're
little
seeing,
understanding
that little
of the culture,
understanding.
their little understanding
So
of the
that's a
culture.
sample size. That's the only point of reference that
Yes,
they have.
yes.
I'm
for
saying
some
if
people.
for some people that's their biggest sample size in person, like of
Yes.
what they're gonna experience, because they're not gonna go to Juve, they're not gonna go to something that's similar to that type of atmosphere. Like people from other cultures, Caribana is the only thing they're gonna go to that is resembling the aspects of the Caribbean culture, because some people are just not around that many Caribbean people. So they don't have any sample size of how they dance and how they do things unless they go to a festival or something of that nature. Just like if I go to Brazil Fest, I don't know how they dance until I get there. If I go to an Ethiopian Fest, I don't know how they dance until I get there.
So is the implication that because that's a sample size and because it can be seen as hypersexualized and sort of detrimental, culturally detrimental, you're saying that maybe the format or
no, we're not talking about the format. We're saying how should people approach it? How should men approach it? Is it a free for all? Is it you grab whoever?
Liberation for men
is
as
it
well?
liberation for men in
I
terms
feel like
of dance
if
and
men
enjoyment?
don't know that, they're not going to know that in any other context. Like I feel like there's sort of, you have to have a sense of like self-awareness, right? Like,
But you catch everybody dancing, right?
It seems like a liberated area.
It looks like a liberated.
it seems like everyone's
it's liberated,
enjoying.
but there's still a give and take. There's still respect there. I don't think that like if a woman is not interested and she's not looking to be daggered, she's gonna let you know.
So you said,
No, but that's what we're asking. How? We're
but-
asking the how of how they should
you know what
approach
I'm
it.
saying? And then I wanted to piggyback on what you just said.
Is that as well with like, I think men have to realize their positionality within it, like being the aggressor. Like that's a big aspect to it. Like realizing that there's a certain line to cross. If you cross it, that's on your own mindset. That's your own problem. If you do that, that's you making a mistake. And that comes off your own mindset from one, how you perceive what you're seeing. Because like you guys said, like yes, there's a small sample size, but you can look into it like what that sample size consists of. The sample size can consist of the beautiful part of it, like the traditional dancing. Like yes, the one how women go on women, men can go on men, interact with whoever. Doesn't matter. Listen, that's part of it because you have to realize as well.
Don't mind me. Don't mind me.
No, I don't know why you're laughing.
No, I completely get that. No, because we can get into it because like this is also a big stigma within like the Caribbean
Yes,
culture.
that's why the
I get
dance.
it. I completely
exactly.
get it. Like, we can get in that conversation.
I've seen it there, but
yeah, we see it there,
Okay.
and that's part of everyone having fun with everyone. Like you should be able to do that. And like you choose where you want to have fun. Now back to your topic is like understanding that men are the aggressor. We have to understand that yes, you see the women how they're dressed, and it's like all celebration of culture. But there's a certain line within societal standards as a man. You have to be able to like handle yourself. If you can't, then don't be there. If you're willing to push those limits, like why would you even put yourself in that space? Because then it's just gonna be a negative interaction no matter what. At least that's
So what's a way
As a human,
they should approach?
don't you have like a baseline level of like respect and decency? Like
I
just
think
respect.
I think what's happening, you're just misinterpreting the question. We're asking
I'm not.
how they should. Well, we're asking a question first. We're saying how should they approach it. We never said that
And
they should approach it
respectfully.
off the sample size of that they're getting. I'm saying if they seen that as their sample size, how would they go in that festival and approach women when it comes to whining? Because say you're there to enjoy yourself and enjoy the culture. You want to know how you're supposed to operate. I'm not saying people are
have
supposed
the
to come in
answer.
there aggressively and jump on people.
Right.
But I understand that people do that.
we're not dealing with
Right, and- but
barbarians.
that's-
And I'm not
is
saying
that
that's the
do you
right
think that that's
thing.
respectful?
No, I'm not
Okay,
saying that's
so
the right thing, but I'm saying
to
for
mitigate that and to remedy that,
Yeah.
be respectful and communicate.
So
Is it-
communicate
is it
before
that hard?
dancing.
Tap them and say, "Can I get a dance?"
Okay,
Is
it's-
that
No,
what
no,
we're
no. This is important.
You don't have to
This
make,
is
you guys are
important because she
making it
said
more clinical than
communicate.
it needs to be. But if
Because
you're-
I've never communicated for a wine. I'm just saying, like I've
Yeah,
never
not me
communicated
either.
You
with a
asked
girl.
me a question.
I just
I'm
had
giving
verbal
you my
cues
answer.
potentially.
That's
What,
okay,
what
that's
I would
right.
what I would
Okay,
want
that's right,
is
that's right.
if I'm moving, if I'm winding my waist and someone is interested in dancing with me, I'd like to know that they're interested, and I'd like for them to just either communication. There's nonverbal communication.
Yes,
If you're going to
okay.
communicate
Yes,
with
thank
me,
you.
Thank you.
there needs to be a level of
Nonverbal, thank you.
respect, and there
Okay.
needs to be a give and take.
Okay,
That's the
absolutely.
answer to the
Okay.
question.
Okay, that's
Don't
absolutely.
misinterpret.
Sherry wanted to say
I'm
something?
online.
She was ready. She
Wrong
had her
with
hand
that.
up. Like,
Well, I mean, as
she's
somebody
ready.
who plays mass, like this is the
yeah.
problem, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
small. right? So when a song comes on, pick up something and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. You're asking, how do people know? What is the music telling you? Dagger, dagger, dagger. The music is telling you what to do. So that's what I'm saying. So
music is telling me what to do.
It is.
She got him with that.
It's telling you. So I can't. So listen. So what I do? Okay. Last year, for me as a woman, have to realize that, look, it's not only that the people have been brought down here for pretty much sex, right? Like, I mean, they brought down here for sex. At the same time, the music is telling them what they should do.
There you go.
As a woman now, I'm like, okay, I have to figure it out, right? Not to say that people shouldn't be respectful, but again, people come from all kinds of places. Who knows what, you know what I'm saying? They are learning from the images that they're seeing in the videos. They're learning from the song is telling them to do. They're learning from literally the ads on City. Sorry, I'm not going to name it. But you know what I'm saying? That are basically like girls whining their waist, and even with police officers. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So I want to ask Brad what his thoughts are on this too. Like, from what her perspective was, what's your thoughts on that? Like what she's saying in terms of like the music and the culture and stuff of that nature. Because
I just want to finish. So I want to finish by also saying there is no cultural, so I actually, what I do and what I did this year is I'll engage people in some salsa dancing, right? Somebody comes behind me, depending on what it is, how aggressive they are, I might just give them a wine and I run off. Backpacks are lovely because people have a hard time with a backpack, right? But I then feel like I need to modulate the degree to which I'm going to engage in somebody, right? With somebody, right? And what I've found doing, you said about the Brazil festival. Well, there's an etiquette, right? Everybody understands the etiquette. The man will ask the women to dance, and there's a certain way of doing it. We don't have that. We literally have songs telling men to treat women like objects. So what do you expect from it, right? So I pretty much go, again, gets back to reality. I go based on reality. Well, this is what they're doing. I still want to play mass. How do I protect myself? I keep my space, and if somebody comes behind, I try to figure things out. So like I said, sometimes I'll turn around and start, oh, hey, you know how to do it. And I'll start doing some salsa with the person, right? Like I'll try to figure things out for myself, right? And that's sad, but that's the reality.
So, Brad, what's your thoughts on what you was just talking about?
Oh, in terms of like what she's saying, with like what the music is telling you, what you see in society and culture, from videos to music to just like even when growing up as well. She's not wrong at all. Like I do absolutely agree with you. I think there's also still that barrier, especially on the men's side. Like there's that barrier to take care of yourself and take care of like the environment you're in. And if you cross a certain line again, it's like you're taking it too far. And why do that? For what reason?
But where's the line? She said there was no line.
It's difficult.
Like with the music, it's a blurred line.
Why are you assuming there's no line?
No, because no. This is why. They're not gonna. I'm not talking about guys that are barbaric. I'm just talking about. There's no line in terms of like the song is literally pumping out.
The line is physical. The line is when someone's uncomfortable.
Okay.
If you cross that line with either man,
I can
understand.
line.
Okay. And then why do that? Like yes, and I wouldn't say push the limits. But you should never going into an interaction like that want to push limits. You're going for fun. You're going for celebration. Going to like have a wine, communicate, and like that's it. But if you're trying to push a certain limit, then that's a problem.
So no daggering.
But like Cherie said, she said that she
dagger politely.
Yeah, soft.
You modulate yourself, right? But what I'm saying is, you do that because you know that you have autonomy. You're responsible for yourself, right?
Well, because it's like.
Right.
Like
no. Right. Am I
responsible
responsible
for you? Go into a situation, it's an environment. This is what the environment is. And I figure I have to, there's some degree of responsibility I have to take for myself as well. Not that you can,
hold on, let me land the plane. That was my point. That was exactly my point.
Right.
Cherie's responsible for herself. I'm responsible for myself. It's autonomy. So autonomy brought us there to have fun. But autonomy also dictates how far we go, and what we want to do and what we don't want to do. I'm responsible for my behavior. A song's not responsible for my behavior.
I understand.
Culture is not responsible for my behavior. I get to choose what part I want to adhere to and engage in. And if I don't have a baseline level of respect, if I'm not accountable, I'm not responsible for myself, then I'm inclined to do whatever I want and then blame the music anyways.
I think like her point is actually valid as well. I think both points are valid. Of course, just depending on how you choose to exercise, your opinion on the matter or whatever the case may be. But I
wanted to segue it.
What do you want?
I wanted to segue it to another topic.
Okay, we can go on.
Yeah, no, the reason why I was saying that is because, like, speaking on men not acting right, you know, in Caribana. Like, well, I think with the men today, they don't know how to really go about dating, right? I think there's a bigger problem at hand, like how they interact with women. What are they supposed to do? There's no one that's really guiding them, trying to teach them what exactly they should do, how they should approach a woman. So I wanted to hear the thoughts from the ladies and how men of today should interact with women, or how they should, when they were going about dating women.
I wouldn't say that specific question. I would ask the question of, what do you think men are getting wrong when it comes to dating? Because we do hear about, a lot of women are disappointed in the men these days that are available or not available. A lot of guys are still dating in relationships and whatnot, and that's a whole different conversation for a different day. But a lot of the men that are available, I hear it, my brother hears it, other people hear it, we hear from single women. They're not basically happy with the men that are out here. There's very limited men that they feel can match them, and that can be in multitudes of ways. It's just that they feel like that's a baseline, not like it's the standard, but it's a baseline to work with, and I think a lot of women have that. So in your thoughts, what do you think men are getting wrong when it comes to dating, especially if you're up? I'd say we have to look at a man that's a little bit more matured. So say from the age of 27 to say 40, we'll put in that range, and they're single. What do you think those type of men are getting wrong when it comes to dating and maybe committing to a long-term relationship?
Are you guys ready for some really hard truths?
You can give it how you need to give it.
Can I unload the clip on you guys?
Batter up.
Hey, I'm ready. I got my back.
I'm ready. Just
to
leave
swing.
enough clock for her to get her.
Vest? You might
Hey,
need
I'm
a vest.
ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm Matrix over here. I'm dodging.
Good luck. Okay, so what I believe the problem is, what men are getting wrong, is they are not evolving. Men have not evolved. They are still stuck in, I'm the provider and the man of the household, and I don't talk about my feelings. And so they're essentially emotionally defective. But the times have changed. The dating landscape has changed. What women require from men has changed because women have had more opportunities. Historically, that hasn't been the case. Historically, women have been beholden to men. We couldn't get a job. We couldn't get an education. We didn't have that autonomy that I was just talking about. Now we do. And we're really not taking advantage of it, but we're being proactive about it. Because, I mean, if you're going to fight for rights, be proactive, be productive with whatever rights you end up getting. The problem is women can do the things that men used to do for themselves. And instead of men saying, hey, you know what? Now I need to bring more to the table because she can pay her own bills. She has a network of friends. So in terms of like emotional support and that sort of that social element, she doesn't really need me. She never has. Men are sort of still like, you guys are digging your feet in the sand rather than evolving and like evolving yourselves individually to try to do more and be better, whether that's emotionally, financially, academically, interpersonally. You're not evolving with it, and you're not acclimating. Women are acclimating to the changes and the evolution and the advancements that they have facilitated, and men are just sort of like, no, I'm going to wait for things to regress, and I'm just going to wait because I'm the boss. We live in a patriarchal society, so I'm just going to wait, and eventually she's going to come back, and women are going to wrong.
Right, what's your thoughts on that?
My first thought would be, when you say emotionally defective, are you meaning that in the way that the word defective specifically?
I'm meaning the definition, like the dictionary Webster.
Something that's wrong.
Something that is broken and does not work.
Does not work, but that means it can't be fixed.
In some cases, yeah. If it's not pathological, yeah, you absolutely can work on it and better it, but some people are done.
No, I absolutely agree. Some people are done, but I don't think that's the majority of people. I would say majority of men are on that pathway of, yes, they can be broken, but they have to realize that it's on them to fix themselves. And they take the right steps to make that happen. Now, I think those steps are very hard to do. First, it's always realizing the problem within oneself. Like taking yourself in the mirror, asking yourself those hard questions, and knowing how to proceed accordingly, and what that could look like. In all honesty, and like from my own personal examples, like I was at a point where I didn't understand where I was emotionally. How could I fix that? Yes, there's talking to people. Yes, there's talking to family. Yes, there's talking to friends, asking myself personal questions, which I did. But then I got to a certain point where I was still stuck. What did I do? Therapy. I went into therapy, tried to figure that out, and get professional help and understand what that looks like. And like, yes, there were at the time.
You were just saying people were defective, so
no, that's why
she's snapping fingers now.
Defective people don't go to therapy.
You said they can't be fixed.
I'm talking about my friend, but people in general, as a general matter, defective people don't go to therapy. That's why they're so defective.
No, but that's
so. Do you believe in rehabilitation? That's what he was asking.
What he's saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like in terms of effective, like I hear that. I get what you mean in terms of like the literal term, but in terms of like hearing that through one's perspective, could be like defective, broken, cannot be fixed.
No. Defective doesn't mean broken beyond repair. It means it does not. It's not functioning properly. It's not functioning in the capacity that it should be. I believe that all humans have the capacity to change and grow and evolve.
I agree.
Whether they are going to introspect and look within and say, hey, there are things that are not working and there are things I'm doing that are wrong and detrimental to my well-being. That's a different conversation. That's a different kind of problem because not everyone, especially men haven't been socialized in a way to look within. Everything is external. It's society has sort of adhered to the whims of men, no, you're going to do what I say. You're going to do it when I say it. I'm going to colonize this island. I am going to rape and pillage this country. Like men have sort of been able to do what they want.
Well, not all men have been doing that, though.
Okay,
colonization and all
we can get to Africa. We can get to Africa.
Put that on all men.
Listen, I'm a historian. If you want to go to Africa, I'll tell you about yourself.
I'm just saying that they're not going to other, countries and doing the colonization. That's a specific
the
group
transatlantic
of people.
slave trade wouldn't happen if Africans didn't sell the Africans to North Americans, right? To Europeans.
Yeah,
she has a point.
You have a point there.
So I'm only trying to say that men haven't been socialized in a way that is conducive to introspection and to saying, I'm the problem.
Okay.
Even
I
though
want Cherie to answer
they
this.
are the problem.
I want
Brad
will get an answer.
So at the end of the day, it's like taking those right steps, whatever that looks like. For me, it was therapy, understanding like how to go through certain situations, how to go learn certain problems about myself, and then take corrective steps to actually change those things for myself. And it's like honestly having the humility first to really understand that yes, something doesn't feel right. How can I fix this? And taking those personal steps to get there. Now I say that's a journey. Yes, you can have support, and it's important to have support, but taking that journey is a step you take by yourself first. So like men who feel that they can't do anything or are stuck at a certain point realize that they will be always stuck.
Well, pay attention to this, those that are listening, because he's talking about working on yourself, therapy, these type of things to like encourage men to do better, because it is a factor when we're talking about men.
It's not just doing better. It's like truly, in my opinion, like building your confidence.
Yes.
And confidence isn't just an external thing.
How do they go about it? How do you think they should go about it?
Honestly, the way I think that it's not all men, it's majority men. It could be men who are stuck, who feel like they're at a place where they can't develop more. It's understanding that you can, but you have to have the humility to say that I need to do something better. And then from there, what does that look like? Does it mean academically you're taking different courses? Does it mean socially you're trying to put yourself in different circles? Professionally, you're trying to do more for your work, try to make better connections. From a relationship standpoint, are you building yourself to be the best possible version of yourself before stepping into the dating pool? And then that doesn't matter. That could look like 1,000 different things, but do you feel you're most confident to put yourself out there? Okay. And it's not about putting on a front, not putting on a show. It's about putting your best self, your most authentic self out there. Now it's like we see so much going on in society, how if we get into this, it's like getting into like dating, like what's expected from a male's perspective versus the female perspective, like what should be anticipated in terms of like courting women. Is chivalry really dead? In my opinion, no, it's not. I love chivalry. Like it's like truly finding out how to attract a partner and build chemistry and find out if something's really there. In terms of like where we have in society, I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but like
this is important.
It's important.
It's like figuring out what that actually looks like from the male perspective, and it all starts with yourself. If you can't just put yourself you can't put yourself broken into this society. If you do, it's gonna break down even more. You're gonna struggle. You're gonna go through different insecurities. You will go through different trials and tribulations mentally to really like force you to fix yourself if you go in broken. But some of the best ways of learning is through that failure. Sometimes you have to be broken down. It's like understanding to be broken down is to really give yourself a chance to build yourself back up. And that's not the case for everyone. Some people have a smooth transition of like just going through life and like you get into a certain point. That's not everyone. Some people have the other realm as well, like just being broken until like, hold on, this has been broken too much. They have to like retract everything and start from ground zero, wherever they're at, wherever age it may be. And you said from 27 to 40, you can start over at 27, you can start over at 35, you can start over at 40. It's like realizing that you have to come to that certain emotional stance with yourself to get to a certain point.
Okay, that's very interesting. I think you said a lot of good points. I want Sheree to give her opinion on
that.
So, for me, again, my situation is I was married for 20-something years and just, fairly recently accepting, true separation, I guess. And so back out in the dating world, I'm like, I feel sorry for you guys. Like, I gotta say, when you said, even this question, like, what are you guys doing wrong? For me, it's like being an observer of culture, right? I'm a person who I like to get out and talk and meet people, but I'll also watch different dating shows. And I'm just like, what is going on here, right? And I sometimes feel, almost like I feel that there's just a lot of entitlement. And maybe because I'm at a different stage in my life where right now, for me, I do feel like I'm almost starting over in a sense, right? And what I always wanted was a partner who I felt like I could build with on our shared terms, not just on his terms, but on our shared terms, and that could be equally understood. And that's essentially what I'm looking for, right? But I have to go out there with a lot of guys who, frankly, I feel are not being really looked at. I have to watch shows where I'm like, on some of the most ridiculous things. And I'm just like, wow, you guys, I never really thought about how difficult it is for a guy to actually meet, secure, and build with a woman until now. I was always in relationships where I met the person in school and you just kind of vibe. I'm like, to hear a lot of, especially black men, being so frustrated. Like, I mean, that's partly even, I guess, where the question comes from. With, you talk about courting. What does courting mean nowadays? Courting means that you have to spend a lot of money on me. Courting means you have to, for some women, you have to be able to pay my bills. You have to be able to give me my hair and nails done. Like, I find that absurd that we've come to this point with women, period, right? But then to the point of where getting hair and nails paid by other people is somehow a priority, even by themselves, frankly, to a certain degree. And no, I'm just saying, especially when you're not in a marriage with the person, I'm like, where did we
if men were saying this, we would sound crazy.
No, I disagree.
That's absolutely
I fundamentally disagree. I'll get back to that.
Let her finish her point.
At what point is courting, getting to know the person, getting to look at potential, exactly what you said. I think that's the most important thing. But I don't think that's something specifically for just a guy. I think that's for everybody, right? For everybody, you should be going in and trying to be your best self, right?
Absolutely.
But when did courting and the whole idea of it get mixed up with a whole bunch of material nonsense as to which restaurant I should go to? And that will come in time, right? That will come in time. I just, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of pressure, especially, I mean, feel for somebody who could be in various stages of their life and who has so much potential to feel like they have to kind of be all together, when frankly there aren't a lot of women who are all together. So I really don't understand it. And I'm just okay. This is what I'm saying.
It's hot in the kitchen.
It's unpopular.
Listen, after the show, wait a minute, Sheree. After the show, we're gonna have problems. I don't think I can be your friend anymore. I'm being honest.
But here's the thing: it's not like I don't expect men to be respectful, chivalrous, all of that. I just hate anything in society that's become commodified. I hate that Caribana has become commodified. I hate that it's not even Caribana. It's a Toronto. It was Scotiabank. It was this. It was that. I hate anything that becomes commodified in dating and relationships. If that's where we're at, I hate it too. That's all I'm saying, right? You now can't actually see the value of a person without seeing the value of a person. And for me, that's a problem.
Let her come in. Let her come in. She's ready. She's ready. Let her off the leash. She's ready. She's ready to go. Tear the fire.
Hold it together.
Let's go. Right now, I'm apoplectic. At this worldview, I am not happy with you, Sheree. C'est un problème avec toi et moi.
Okay. Mon Dieu.
So, number one, when she says, when did it become this transaction? Forever. Okay, so it's been like that it's been like that from day one. It wasn't nails, it was a house and a roof over their head, and it was provisions, and it was food and resources. Or it was the ability to get a bank account. So the idea that transactional relationships is somehow new, false.
But
okay,
from
that's
day
not
one, it
true.
was actually women a lot of times being sold
and I'm going to
into
tell you
marriage.
why it's false. Okay, men have always we live in a patriarchy, do we not? You guys might disagree, but we'll do that too. We have always lived in a patriarchal society where men have been the providers, men have been the builders.
Absolutely.
So why would you then say, well, why are women now requiring? No, men even required it. Men understood that in order to get a woman, in order to have a family and continue my genetic profile, I need to have provisions. I need to be able to provide. I need to be able to build something for her because I am a man, and this is what we are the builders and they are the baby carriers. So the idea that this is a new notion or that this is something negative that's just completely wrong. It's historically incorrect, and even when if men's only role historically has always been providers, they have always been the providers, the leader of the household. Why is it a bad thing when women are expecting that? Why is it a bad thing when women are saying, okay, well, this has been your role since foreverdom, and now it's a problem.
She's been married for like 27 years, right?
She's not talking about her marriage.
But I'm saying,
we're
like,
talking about the dating landscape, and I'm trying to say that the dating landscape it's changed insofar as women have been able to provide for themselves more than they have been able to before. But women who are not able to, if they're looking to men who have been historically, chronically, the builders, the providers, the holders of resources, why is it a bad thing for them to lean into a historical, societal, political norm that has been around for millennia?
Okay, so so we're going to talk about marriage. A lot of times, marriage was a financial transaction between two houses, and frankly, a lot of women had to, we understand the concept of dowry, right? What a man had to show was the potential to provide all those things. Not that they necessarily had it all, but the potential to do that. And then again, there was a trade-off. So as you said, women are able to do more, right? They are going out, they're able to do more. That trade-off for a lot of those men was that the women would be home and would be caregivers, housekeepers, et cetera, right? The women who are asking to get their nails and again, this is my question, when did any of that actually truly go towards developing and building a household? That is developing women the aesthetics of a woman. That is not necessarily knowing if that woman is frankly suitable to be all of those things in that house. And frankly, from what I've seen, a lot of them aren't. What a lot of them are, I want that same lifestyle maintained in marriage. And by the way, we'll get a housekeeper, which then again becomes another additional expense. What I'm trying to say is I don't understand when aesthetics became, frankly, so grandly important for our community.
You just said that we live in a sex-oriented society. You just said sex sells. Again, you just said we talked about Caribana and the importance of looking good and showing off what you have, and you're asking the question.
And you also said that every person has to choose their own values. And what I'm trying to say is, as a community, when we've chosen to not see, and we've chosen to equate being able to furnish luxuries and aesthetics as to be able to build with someone, to be able to show potential to do that. And again, if we're looking historically at what the trade-off has been when there has been a kept woman and what the trade-off was with that, if we're not going to adhere to those rules, we're conflating a whole bunch of things. At the end of the day, I think...
Break it up then.
At the end of the day, I think when you meet somebody, it should be looking at, again, how much work have they done on themselves? How much potential could they bring to develop in a partnership? And to basically from the outstart start saying, I want to be taken to this restaurant, I want to have this done, that is not in any way conducive to that discussion to me.
Sure.
In fact, and this is what I'm saying, I just don't like when concepts get conflated.
I haven't
we're
conflated
talking about
anything.
building a life and a marriage with someone.
Right, but we're also talking about the Black community. And if we're going to be realistic, the values in the Black community are mush up. Okay, so
there we go.
Right, so if we're talking about adhering to those values, then the Black women they're online, they're on board.
But
They're doing exactly what they've been doing.
And I will say that it's
actually wait, hold on. The Black community is different. The Black community, women have been the providers and men have not. So actually, there's a paradox there. There is a difference. We could talk about that at a different time. But with respect to this conversation, it is historically inaccurate. It's also, it doesn't even make sense to question the motives of women who are looking for tangible resources and provisions. It's always been that way.
I think here's the thing.
But she succeeded. I would say that because the whole idea is to get married at the end of it, right?
Yeah, but it's not anymore.
So what's the point of dating?
She's saying that they're not going to date for no reason unless it makes sense. She's saying that women make enough money to take care of themselves, so they're not going to put themselves in a position.
You have to do more for me than I can do for myself.
That's what she's saying.
So,
equally yoked,
if you,
or
as the
above.
societal, as the final boss, as the decision maker, as the provider and the provision getter, if that's too much for you, then you're going to have problems. And now we're seeing. And forget the tangibles. Forget men are already having problems. Forget the tangibles and forget the superficiality of it all. The emotional element. Men have not looked to address that. They are not emotionally available. They are not emotionally open. That makes for an extremely miserable relationship. And if I'm going to engage in that kind of relationship, the cost to reward analysis needs to be immaculate.
But here's the thing. Here's my one question about this, because we say that, okay, like say the women will say, if they're doing good in their life, able to take care of themselves, they want a man that's equally yoked or above in terms of financially, emotionally, whatever. They want a leader, whatever that means to you as far as a leader. But then you have the other side that says, there's going to be a different power dynamic in these type of scenarios, right? So a lot of women also will argue that they don't want to deal with somebody that's far more successful than them because the dynamic that may carry with them. Exactly like what she's talking about, where, funding the nails, funding the hair, doing this, doing that. Well, that agreement also comes with different dynamics.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. And a lot of women, do you know what that dynamic is? The power imbalance? Mm-hmm. What it really amounts to, it's an abuse.
But now you're saying it's abuse. But
what I'm saying is, what would you like?
Let me finish. Mm-hmm. Women not wanting to engage in that, the power, because that's regression. That would be regression for women. That would be going back to when they didn't have a choice. Then the power imbalance was already assumed. They were the subjugated party. They knew it. There was nothing that they could do. Now women are in a position where they can pick and they can choose. Do I want to be in a relationship with with a huge power imbalance and a huge power differential, or do I want do I want to be in a relationship that is more equitable and collaborative? Okay. And now women have a choice, and men are like, you used to have to choose me. This is what I bring to the table. The table could be missing one leg, no chairs at the table, and women had to say, okay, you know what, we're gonna just take your mash-up table, and then we don't have a choice. Now women have a choice, and men are not able to adapt, evolve with the idea that the choice comes from women's autonomy. It comes from the evolution of just being able
But
to...
we got to question the autonomy part, because do you think majority of women would like to work to pay financial bills after they're married? Do you think majority of women would agree or disagree to that in our current society?
What do you mean? So
have to pay substantial bills, like to have to work to pay substantial bills in their household after they're married and have children. Do you think most women would agree to wanting to do that compared to women that wouldn't want to do that?
I think that's a different
no
question,
no. I'm jumping topics.
I get what you're saying.
I'm jumping topics here because reason why I'm saying that is because when it comes to financials and say you get someone equally yoked, yes, we understand. You guys can start off and be collaborative and whatever that case may be, but the dynamics usually changes in terms for work for women. Mm-hmm. So their earnings are going to change if they decide to have a family and decide to raise children. Mm-hmm. What do most men want? Typically a traditional situation, a woman staying at home, not making as much money. Now how you came in is not how you are going to be continuing this relationship, right? Yeah. So the man is going to say to himself, okay, the dynamic's going to change a little bit. I'm going to have a little more control over certain decisions because I am technically the breadwinner now. Even though you were a breadwinner, our dynamic changes. Is there flexibility in that? Or do you just say to yourself, well, what's going to work out with me in terms of their finances and stuff, potential. If that works out better, I feel like that's an easier path to take, the potential path, and work with somebody than just go off finances. So that can change at any point.
Hold on. Ahmed, out of men and women, relationally and interpersonally, who has been more inflexible in relationships historically? Be honest. Who inflexible in terms of I'm not changing, I'm not bending my will, I'm not doing anything differently to make this work. Who has been more flexible in that dynamic, in any dynamic actually? And there's studies. This has been tracked over time. There is psychological
that question is layered because flexible can go many ways.
You asked a question. You said how much are women willing to sort of...
Did you answer the question?
But I'm asking you.
You can't ask me a question until you answer the question.
I can.
But that's not how it works. You need to answer my question and follow up with yours.
I'm asking the question because it's rhetorical. Because you already know that women have always been flexible and women have always been willing to work with men in whatever situation
I think women are different than men,
in.
so to compare them in the same realm of flexibility it's hard to say.
Right, but if men are not learning to become more flexible, that's a them problem, and that's why they're falling behind relationally and interpersonally and romantically.
I guess the question is, do you think men have more problem with dating or women have more problem with dating?
Women, listen, the only thing in life that is constant is change. If you are not changing and adapting to your society, to the reality of the situation, you're going to wither and die. And it might not be a physical death that men are experiencing, but they are lonely. It's like an emotional death. They're not being seen, they're not being heard because they're not evolved. They're not meeting us where we are. Men are back here in 1950, 1940, and women are doing their thing. And we have to wait for you to catch up? For what?
It's interesting because from what my experiences is that a lot of single women are struggling because they cannot find what they're looking for. Right?
What do the studies say?
What I don't know. You tell me if you know the studies.
The studies say that men are shaking it rough. Even suicide rates.
Well, that's always been the case in history.
But men
suffer more mental health issues than people give credit for.
And you know why? And that has a lot to do with exactly why men are having more problems romantically with women. Women are not seeking relationships as readily and sort of as vociferously as they were before, because we have our own little ecosystem. We have our friends. We have our social circles. We have people that we can lean on emotionally. Men don't have that.
They don't.
So if men historically have relied on their partner, their woman, to sort of open the emotional floodgates when need be, they don't have that either. So men are struggling. The struggle between men and women, it's not comparable.
Well, I think you're misinterpreting just men's lifestyles compared to women's lifestyles. It's a little different with occupation.
You're making excuses for men instead of saying they just need to change.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's different layers to why men. You brought in a crazy example by the suicide example. You can't just go off men aren't measuring up to what women want, and then that's why the rates are up.
There's many other reasons. Because they're lonely. Because they don't. No,
there's many other reasons. There's many other reasons. Let Brad get in. Brad's been sitting back. Come on, Brad, give your opinion. Yeah, give your opinion.
I'll get my opinion out, then I know Cherie wants to say something as well, so we'll get to her as well.
Yeah. Bradley. No pressure.
It's no pressure. It's no pressure. It's just saying opinions and getting what I feel out there.
Yeah.
To your point of the dynamic, how it switches, with like a man making more money and thinking that he can have more power in a relationship. To make that, in my opinion, to make that relationship flourish, it should be a collaboration. That's where it starts with. To have that collaboration with your partner and understanding that to make this thing work and go in a fluid system better and make that fluid system better, to make it more progressive to what both parties want, or just what both a man and a woman wants at the end of the day, the best way to do it in that question is through collaboration. It's like, yes, the woman's not making as much, the man's could be making more in that situation, but what's he doing with it? And then he should have that collaboration with his partner to make sure that the family is growing. And that's how you get better. That's my opinion on that aspect of it. Because if you're doing it by yourself, even in a relationship, if a man's doing it by himself, what's he really doing? He's going to find that struggle. And like, yes, his woman's at home and taking care of the home. If he's not doing what he's supposed to do, and she's not, and she then suffers the consequences of that, the whole household crumbles. How do you keep on building that household? You collaborate. You figure out what works and going back and forth.
Yeah, there's different dynamics. Just like when I'm at work and I'll talk to people about their wife, they're like, my wife's the boss at home. And then when it comes to other things, they'll say, I'm the boss of that, right? Like they have different roles. It's not to say that when you're a leader, every single thing is under a dictatorship. Do this, do that,
And
do
it's not
this, do
leadership,
that.
it's equity then.
It's not that. But there is leadership in relationship. Well, I want to ask Cherie, do you think there should be leadership in a relationship?
I think to your point, what you're saying, there should be an understanding between each partnership about who will maybe take the lead in certain roles, right? But
people get triggered by leadership too. That word is very triggering. I noticed.
She's describing an equitable. You guys are describing equity.
People get triggered
You're
by the word leadership when it
relationship.
comes to a relationship. From what I've experienced anecdotally,
Why?
I don't know why. I think when it comes from a man's mouth, it seems like the patriarchy
The stigma?
that stigma starts to set in.
It gives
Wait,
them
who
this
gets
air
triggered?
of dictatorship.
I've been in situations personally where I've said the word leadership when it pertains to a relationship, and women have been
What
triggered.
kind of women? White, black?
It doesn't matter.
It does, but
it's a woman is a woman. So
Feminism is on every ethnicity.
When it comes
ideology
to
of
relationship
feminism?
dynamics, black women and white women are not.
No,
on
but
this.
if
Not
we
the
talk
same at
about
all.
feminists, that's in every ethnicity.
This
So
is not
if they-
feminism, but
No, feminism, like the ideology, it could go.
This is not-
It translates.
Okay.
she's
to,
describing an equitable relationship. Coming into a relationship with an understanding, I'm good at this, so I'm going to do that. You're good at that, so you're going to do that. Even what Bradley was describing.
Yeah,
if the
but
man is the
there's
breadwinner and
leadership to
she's
that.
staying at home, she's taking care of house and home, there's value in that.
Yeah, but-
you can't monetize. It's not
No, but that's a
monetize
contract
but
that
there's
two people would make like amongst each other,
Exactly.
like
Right.
whatever
That's what I'm
works
saying.
for them.
But I'm saying,
and whatever
generally
works for-
speaking, people
that's
get
equity.
offended by
It's
it.
not a
But I'm like, when
leadership.
people are in relationships, they have
collaboration.
those type of dynamics, and no one bats an eye to it because they have an understanding. I think what happens when you're hearing it on the outside, you're like, oh, leadership. Oh, why does it have to be that dynamic? It doesn't have to be that
No, it
dynamic. I'm just saying that some people live their life that way because traditionally that's how things have been going. So if you look at your own parents, there was a leadership there. You can say collaborative all you want, but most of the times people from back in the day had those type of relationships where the man was the provider, he was the leader of the household, as people recognize, even the children recognize who was the leader. They understand their mother was a leader when it came to different things, but ultimately a lot of the dynamics that we grew up seeing, the father was the household figure. Like he was the leader of the family. That's just how things went.
Definitely the pillar.
Biblically, like we can go through a lot of different things. That's just how people have been
Historically-
taught. So that's just how
I'll
people
wait for Cherie
operate.
to unload the clip, and then I want to add something
No,
if that's okay.
I mean, for me, like I said, the whole history of it, it's all a contract, right? And different societies had different norms for, I even mentioned dowry. Well, there was sometimes where, the woman's family was paying for the bride to be, married off. And there are other times, when the groom was actually paying to get a bride. Like, this has always been a kind of balance in transaction here, right? My point, I think, when we talk again about dating is how do you even get to that point if you can't even get a first couple of dates in,
Dates
right?
in.
And that's where I'm saying I think it's how do you get to that point of even having these discussions when you're being judged by where you're going to take the person to
good
get to know
question.
them better, right?
good
That was
question.
my
Oh my
point.
God, yo.
And
What's
I'm-
happening
I'm-
right now?
Well, and I'm saying because that's not something to judge. If anything, sometimes that might be looked at as hate. Like with anything, you're going to spend a bunch of money on someone you don't know.
Cherie, I think
Right, there's
you're
a certain
confusing or
reality.
conflating judgment with standards.
I'm saying if the person
If some-
can't get a date or they can't get a second
That's their
one,
problem.
then
They
that's
need
a
to look at themselves and ask
judgment,
themselves
right?
why.
And
Brad, do
I-
you think they're justified in
And this is what
a
I'm
person
saying,
wanting a lot
right?
and you getting
No,
to know
women
someone?
have standards
Hold on,
and they
hold on.
are
I just want to ask
higher.
Brad his opinion. If he's going on a date and a woman says, I want to go to STK and I also need to get my hair done and my nails done, and you're in the midst of getting to know her, do you think that's appropriate for in your opinion, for yourself personally? Would you feel that's appropriate? Do you feel that if you don't have that, she's right to have that, like her own opinion on how she wants to be treated? Do you think you would agree to something of that nature?
That's hyperbole. Women are not really doing it like that, but okay.
There's some women
No, sir.
I think so. I get your point. I think
I date women, by the way, so I think I know a little bit more.
I've heard
You date
stories.
women and you're saying on the first day they're talking about I want my nail. I
Some
want this, I
girls
want
will
that, I
say
want-" Right,
this.
but are we talking about the minority or are we talking about the
We can talk about any woman that's available on the market. That's what I go after.
I think the majority is more meaningful and impactful, but okay.
So I would say this. To your point, if a woman came up to me, I'm trying to take her on a first date and she agrees, and she says she wants X, Y, and Z done, nails, hair, et cetera, my first question is going to be why.
To look good for you.
Right?
To look good for you on the date. I want to look my best for you.
So then why in the beginning when you're meeting someone, that should be your own job?
But that's her standard. Right. This is what we're talking about, the woman's standard. Her standard, if she wants someone to take care of her and take care of those things, she's trying to test you right now.
Yes.
Are you able to take care of this before we meet up? Yes or no?
You have to earn that from me emotionally.
Okay.
If you can't, if you can't earn that from me emotionally, why would I do it? Mm-hmm. And then I'm saying, vice versa. If I can't prove myself emotionally to her, why would she have me around?
Mm. So therefore, it's not worth it unless you actually knew the person.
You have to take the correct steps. You have to be honest and be authentic and have conversations. Mm. That's where a lot of men fail as well. They can't have a conversation. Yes, we can have we can chop it up how we chop it up as guys. We can do that all the time. But with a woman, it's different. It's not about just spitting games. It's not about talking about this, doing X, Y, Z. It's about literally having a conversation with someone to try to get to know them. And working up to a conversation, working up to that first date, working up to asking them on a first date. Yes, we see in society nowadays is you meet someone out in the wild, it's like, oh, we should go for coffee, we should have a first date right off the rip. Or it should be more so about communication. Let's talk. And then from there you gauge if you can really take someone out. If you feel you can. And you set up the standard from there. You build that equity emotionally, and then from there you figure out if this is someone you want to build with, and then you can set the standard however you want it to be from there. In my personal experiences, with dating, it's experiencing someone's energy first. What does that feel like? How does that communicate with me?
So materialism doesn't move the needle for you.
The reason why it doesn't move the needle for me is because I know I can provide whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That's also my confidence with myself. Now, do I want to provide that off rip? Yes or no doesn't matter. It's about earning that from that person and not earning it from me. Let's go back and forth.
No. So I'm having a difficult time because there's a schism that I think we need to address. When you're talking about dating and you're talking about marriage, you have to make a differentiation between other communities and the Black community, because the Black community is not operating at the traditional level. They never have.
It's also not a monolith, right?
But we're talking about societal, cultural norms. We're not a monolith.
We'll put it in the box of the Black community.
Okay. But we're also talking about things that we are able to observe, even if you don't want to say, hey, it's a majority. It's a critical mass, which means it's enough to be impactful and negatively impact the community, the culture, and the future. So I think if we're going to have this conversation meaningfully, because you guys are talking about women saying, okay, I just met you, do my nails, do my hair. I don't know if you're being hyperbolic.
Okay, let's say a suggestion of a very expensive restaurant. Let's go with that, because that's something that a lot of people could suggest in the first meetup.
Mm-hmm. And you take umbrage with a woman that you want to get to know. Mm-hmm. You're attracted to her, and she's saying, hey, this really cool spot, I've wanted to try it.
It would, if it's a cool spot, that's fine, but there's always limitations to what I'm willing to do with a stranger, right? So I think it's what Brad said. If we don't have any connection, we don't have anything that would draw me towards you, you have other qualities that I might want to know and pay that price to figure out, why would I do it? If I think you're worth that,
what's the problem then? What do you mean? So you're saying just like women choose men choose women. So
there's absolutely no problem.
If you are exposed to a woman who you know is transactional in her,
I never said there's a problem with that.
But I'm saying that men get to choose as well. Yes, whether or not they're going to engage with someone who is looking for a transaction-based relationship or something more meaningful.
Yeah, we're not talking about whether it's something that is bad or good. We're just saying whether it's effective in dating. You can do whatever you want, right? I could want a model chick my whole life, and who's gonna stop me? I can want that until I'm 60, actually. So I can want that, but if I don't get it, I don't get it. There's no harm, no foul, like they say. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, is it effective for people to be very materialistic when it comes to? And she was saying that when did it become so? I forgot the word you used.
Monetized.
Yes, exactly. Why did it become so much? And that's part of courtship. And I understand it has changed, understandably, as the times have changed. But we also have to ask ourselves, how effective and how successful has this been? Because a lot of the times it ends up that men aren't evolving, as we say. But at the end of the day, if women are evolving and we have the perception that men aren't evolving. The women have it in their head that as they do one step, a man has to do another step. I don't understand that concept.
No, we're asking you to meet us where we are. That's number one. But number two.
But you said they're not making it. You said they don't evolve. Men have failed to evolve. That's the words you use. So I'm just saying, what part did they fail to evolve in? Because you're saying
to work on themselves, to introspect, to understand.
So you think the men of this day and age is worse than the men of that, like say a generation ago?
They are because
they have developed.
No. The men back then were adhering to the societal and cultural norms. Because back then, when women didn't have as many rights, they didn't have as many choices and options. They couldn't just pick to any Tom, Dick, and Harry, and men knew that, and so they continued to provide. They continued to do what they knew they had to do in order to keep and maintain their woman and their family, however they decided to do it.
But people were in more relationships back then, like marriages back then than they are now.
They had to because there was no option. If you wanted to live.
To live, you're saying? Like
I'm saying if you wanted to have rights, if you wanted to be seen as a civilian, if you wanted to have access to important things in society, you had to be tethered to a man. And otherwise,
for you, do you
something
think
was
in
wrong
that
with you.
time that was the pressure for you in that time? Was that a main pressure for marriage?
What do you mean in that time?
Well,
she's
still not long ago, but
I'm just still sorry on the point of what you're making about evolving, because absolutely when it comes to being a little bit more, I mean, not to say that there isn't vast work for improvement, but in terms of having even an understanding of mental health and emotional intelligence, right? I would say that absolutely men of today are much more understanding of those concepts than back in the days when really that was not a thing. As again, it was a contract. You know, I think when we talk about evolving, we're talking about women now. Okay, you're now more in the workforce. You're now, again, more educational opportunities, etc. Right? I don't necessarily see, and I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to put it out there. God, people are going to hate me, right? But I don't necessarily see, again, we're even talking about people who are now commodifying dating. Where's the evolution? I'm sorry, give me a point. Where is the evolution that you're talking about on the women in the same respect as men? I think if anything, right? If anything, you have a bunch of men who are now understanding that there might be a need for soft communication. There might be a need for, just actually even the idea of treating a lady and not simply just saying, oh, I'm sorry, you have hysteria, let's get you a vibrator or put you on Valium, right? Like, I'm saying that there has been some evolution, right? But hold on a minute, but we're discounting that, right?
Let it land the plane.
And we're discounting it because we're saying, and I mean, a lot of the points are to that, well, women are more educated, women can make more money, women can do whatever. And I'm saying that's all well and good. There are men that are working on that. There are men that are working on themselves. Frankly, I think all of us could do with working on ourselves. And it gets back to, again, God. There's a lot of issues with our community, and yes, Black men, there's a lot of issues with y'all, but I don't think we give you enough credit.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry. There's a lot. Like,
thank
oh my
you.
God.
Thank
I'm sorry.
you.
I do
You don't give
appreciate
black
you
men
speaking
credit,
up for us.
Cherie? Are you serious?
I do appreciate
listen,
you.
you know my situation.
The bar is in hell,
dragged through
and
the
black.
mud.
Wait a minute.
You
Wait
get
a
dragged
minute.
through the
Wait a
mud.
minute. Hold on.
You get dragged through the mud.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Cherie.
There you go.
That what she just said. That's a topic for another day, and it's gonna be good, but it's not gonna be good.
I'm saying
so we can. I know what
we
you're
can
saying.
double
Hold
back.
on.
I
know what you're saying,
layered.
Cherie. I heard you. I overstand.
I overstand this time.
The problem that I'm keep it up. The problem that I'm having is you're conflating men being better than they were in 1930, 40, and 50 to men not being where women need them to be today. So just because that things, the society, the zeitgeist, the environment, everything is different, of course. And yeah, men have made changes, some good, some bad. Women have made changes, some good, some bad. Hold on, but men are not where women need them to be in order for them to want to engage with them in a meaningful relationship. In order for them to say, hey, you know what? I think you could lead my household and we could collaborate. We could do this. Men are not even halfway where the women of today, not women of the 40s and 50s and 60s, need them to be. Women
but you never
today
named the
need
feminine
men
quality.
to be.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
Pardon?
You never named a feminine quality that evolved with women. Everything you're naming is a masculine quality. But I'm just saying, like, that's
so
no appeal to men.
do you think that women and men are comprised of just one?
No. What I'm trying,
men and women have both.
What I'm trying to say is, if you're saying that men haven't evolved in that sense, and you're saying that women can provide for themselves and that stuff, they're just doing what men could do for themselves. So they didn't make themselves more attractive to men or anything just because they can provide more. Because a man's ideology coming up was that he's going to be probably a provider for his household.
Yeah, okay.
Regardless, that was the rhetoric that we've been told, right? We live in a Western world, just Canada. All the books are written by white men. They're not written by no other race.
Yeah, but black men are not haven't been providers. That's not, you have to.
They have been providers in different cultures. Let's not generalize all black men in different cultures. Maybe in America's been different than Africa. Maybe in the Caribbean's been different than Brazil. Like, it's all different in different places. So we can't just generalize black men. And I don't want to put on black men's name nor black women's name, right? I think the point of this is just to say that even though women have gotten better and have some equity when it comes to economics and being in certain spaces and making certain decisions, I don't think that warrants for the men to evolve to a different level or a different scale. I think what needs to evolve, if anything, is maybe an understanding of a different dynamic. Okay, I understand that.
Ahmed.
But not necessarily the fact that, like, it has to be based on, are we equal? Are we this? Are we that? I don't think it should be based on that little thing.
That's not what I said. If that's what you guys heard, I don't know. I'm speaking Japanese, but you're right. You're absolutely, and there we kind of like come full circle, because therein lies the problem, Ahmed. Mm-hmm. So men should not have to change and evolve just because women are able to do their own thing fiscally. Mm-hmm. But if they are lonely and struggling and there are things that they want from women, that's you're not doing it for her, you're doing it for yourself. Otherwise, your injury is it's self-injurious. You shot yourself in the foot when you decided, I'm not going to change just because you changed. If you're not going to do it for yourself, you don't really, what are you crying for then? You don't really want to be in a relationship. You don't really want a family. You don't want to continue your lineage. If you want to stay the same, or you need an external reason to change, rather than looking within and saying, I'm not happy and there are things that I want in life, personally, professionally, and romantically, what do I need to do myself, regardless, independent of anyone else? What do I need to do to get what I need? If men, and I'm going to be honest, men are externally driven, like of the highest order. We know that. But if you need something externally to better yourself as an individual, to get something that is beneficial for you, you live longer when you're in a relationship. Like, this is beneficial in every domain. But if you're not willing to do that work and look within, you should be alone. Your DNA should not be perpetuated. So if you shoot yourself in the foot, you don't want to go to the hospital and remedy and take care of it, too bad. Good.
No, I definitely hear where you're coming from, where there has to be like a level, there has to be a standard for like men,
of course,
and those that can procreate. I definitely agree with that. But we are coming close to the end of this show, so I just wanted to put that out there. Brad, do you have any thoughts on what Annalisa was just saying?
A few thoughts, yeah. Why is it uh-oh?
Because I don't know. You're like, we're on the same algorithm sometimes, and then sometimes you miss.
Who misses?
You. Okay, it's okay. I'm listening.
Listen, it's not about missing. It's about the conversation. That's why we're here. Miss. We can go back and forth. I'm always here for it. To your point of... Now I just lost my train of thought.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. About the dynamic for men stepping up and being there, like having to create themselves to be the best version of themselves. I do get what you're saying there. My question to you would be like, what's your expectation? Like, what do you look at? Like, what would you expect from men to even consider him being a potential partner?
I want someone that I can collaborate with. I want someone that I can build with. I want someone that I can be open and honest and vulnerable with without them, without it being a huge problem. There are things that I'm really good at, and I would want him to say, you know what, you're really good at this.
Yeah.
That'll be your thing. And I'll say, you know what, you're really good at this. And I like it when you sort of manage things in that way. That's equity. You're bringing to the table what you are good at, and then you're just riding until the wheels fall off. I want someone who is emotionally available, who doesn't shut down at the, doesn't fold like a cheap tent at the first sign of adversity. If things don't go his way, if there's an argument, if there's a problem, communicate. Talk about it.
No, I'm with you there. I'm aligned with you
Open up.
there. Like, that's the same thing I want from
The
my
world's not
partner
going to end.
No, I absolutely get that. And I agree with that full-heartedly. And to get to that point, though, both on the male and female side, is like, what do we work on within ourselves to get to that point? Because we have to have expectations within ourselves first and figure those out. And then from there, you're able to put yourself out wherever. 100%. Like I said, I get what we're all saying in terms of like the individuality of it on both sides. And like, I think both men and women both have to have their own individuality about their own lives. And then from there, anything can happen. The ability to talk to someone, the ability to create a relationship, to be able to set a standard of living, a standard of communication. And then from there, the world's your oyster from a relationship standpoint.
Right.
All right, I want to hear Sherry. You're going to have the last thoughts on this.
I was just going to say I want all the things that Alicia wants too.
This friendship is fractured, guys. I'm going to keep it. I'm keeping it real.
But all I'm saying is I don't know. I think we all agree. I think with anything, it just starts with yourself, right? And for me, for example, being out there, I don't expect anything from whomever I might end up being with that I wouldn't expect to already be working on myself, right? I just recognize, especially having years of experience, and even recognizing some of the ups and downs of marriage, that it is very difficult to really make a fair evaluation of anybody if you're looking at metrics that don't really translate into all those things that we actually have talked about wanting, right? And like I said, I think, especially as we talked about the evolution, if you actually think about it, there has been a lot of evolution in terms of emotional intelligence, again, in terms of even awareness and self-awareness and mental health. We all have a ways to go, right? But we also can't at one point express that we're still a people under various forms of oppression and not recognize that affects all of us, right? That affects all of our mental health. That even affects our ability to even know if we need to seek mental health assistance, right? If we even need to. So all of these things, there's a lot wrapped up in it. I just, again, getting back to the question about dating, is I would hope that we would be a little bit more thoughtful when we're going out to look for somebody, and thoughtful in the sense of all the things that we're talking about, and what is the best way to assess it? Because as you said, you could just end up shooting yourself in the foot from the outset because you're not truly understanding the metrics that you're looking for, and whether or not making these prescriptions from the outset is a good, fair way of even understanding if that prospective person can meet those expectations, right?
Okay.
Sunny, no, I know you said she's gonna have the last word. No, Sunny, please.
Okay, I'll give you this last word. All right.
I just want to say,
finish it off. All right.
I understand you think it isn't fair for me to have this worldview about men.
That's not it at all.
No, hold on. But the question was in relation to men now, today, and what isn't working for men today. Why are men struggling?
That's right.
And so that's why we have to quantify things. We have to measure things. We have to get a little surgical with things.
Right.
And so my sort of last point is, it changes. I told you it's constant. So men may have started at point A and now they're at point D, but women are at point R. So in the current dating landscape, men are not where women need them to be in order for that men to get what it is that they're looking for. So it's not. I'm not saying and I'm not saying that women are perfect. We're talking within the I guess the context of the conversation. Exactly. So if we're talking about men, we can go back to cavemen and what was going on back then. Like that's the point of that's how you answer the question. So, Cherie, I vehemently and fundamentally disagree with everything that you have said today. I'm very disappointed.
I will say that with any study, methodology matters, and the method of evaluation matters as to how there's going to even be an assessment.
And the history and the
right?
past matters because the history determines determines the future. Okay, so if you're saying that history doesn't matter, and I mean, the researchers are going to. Oh, okay, so then that's where we are. Okay, that's why I had to bring it back, and now I'm going to bring it right back.
Like women, sorry, you're saying, I don't mean to cut you off. With women being at letter R, men being closer to the front, it's like men are thinking way ahead of the game, but they're not willing to do the work to get there yet.
Men want what they used to get freely without doing anything for it. Men want what they believe they were owed because they knew they were bringing something to the table. And now women have their table with four legs and four chairs. So
I can respect that point. I get that. I would disagree in the fact that I don't think that all men, I would say, like,
thank you,
want those things that they have freely, like back
what do you
then.
mean?
In terms of like being like a dictator.
No, I didn't say dictator. I said the ability to have a family, the ability to have a house and home and a wife.
30 seconds.
I'm not talking about like the dynamics in the relationship. I'm talking about actually having a relationship because men don't even have access. Right?
I would say
you guys are talking about how do they even get in a position to date? Yeah. They don't have access anymore, and men used to freely, sort of like indiscriminately, have access whenever they wanted.
Also,
right?
Circumstances back then.
But it was also because of societal norms. It was also because that's the way that relationships work.
Yeah, back then to now is completely different, but then there's the whole dichotomy of like going into it and trying to figure out what we want, right?
Yeah.
Women have to be able to express it, men have to be able to express it.
Right.
Yes, I would agree with you. Women can express it a little bit more than men on a general basis. I agree with that 100%.
Just in general, not as a statistical fact.
I just
I can do that. But
for me, I just know too many men who I know.
Oh my
well,
God.
I'm
Who
sorry, I'm
cares
going to
about
just have to
anecdotes?
say.
I don't care about your uncles,
the
friends,
truth.
brothers,
I know
cousins.
too many
Let
men
it
who are
go.
frankly doing their best, whether they be in marriage, whether they be single, whether they're alone. I just know too many
men
of them.
like that too.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I don't want to sit here and think about fear. And if you go on and go studies, again, those studies are generally not based on our community in the first place.
I'm
right?
talking.
I'm not going to talk
about
theory.
studies based in the black community.
I'm going to say, okay, and I'm sorry, I've looked at a lot as well. I'm not going to get into it. All I'm saying is I can say that at least I know too many, and I would feel doing a disservice sitting here on this podcast to not say that I don't know too many black men who are absolutely doing their best, creating all kinds of networks, creating all kinds of partnerships, et cetera, to say that there is not improvement and that there's not people who are trying to, like everybody else, to try to figure it out.
That wasn't the
right?
question.
And this is
it's
what
not good enough, though.
Okay, and we can get into reasons for
did
why,
get
but
into
I'm
that.
saying
We
the
did get
method of
into that.
evaluation
We got into that. We got
matters.
into
The
that
method of
already.
evaluation
This is where we're
matters.
going to end it, folks.
We got into that already.
Far From Normal podcast. And we're here with our three guests. They did an amazing job, and we are out. Deuces. Good work.